Clause 7.5 of ISO 2701 defines the backbone of the Information Security Management System, documented information. Documentation is more than a compliance formality. It is the foundation that gives structure, clarity, and verifiable proof to every element of the ISMS. This clause ensures that information security is not just practiced but evidenced, that processes are consistent, policies are accessible, and actions can be traced from decision to result. The purpose of Clause 7.5 is fourfold: to establish requirements for creating and controlling ISMS documentation, to guarantee consistency and reliability of information, to provide auditable evidence of compliance, and to support effective communication across the organization. A well-documented ISMS bridges the gap between policy and practice, enabling transparency and trust in how security is managed and maintained. The ISMS contains several distinct types of documented information, each serving a unique function. The first category includes policies and procedures which define expectations and describe how processes should be executed. These documents communicate intent and provide direction. The second category consists of operational records, which demonstrate that policies have been followed and tasks completed, such as risk assessments, incident logs, and training records. A third category encompasses evidence of monitoring and evaluation, capturing how performance is tracked and measured over time. Finally, historical logs and decision records preserve context, documenting why certain risks were accepted, why particular controls were chosen, or how previous incidents were handled. Together, these records provide a complete picture of how the ISMS operates in both routine and exceptional circumstances. Creating and approving documented information must follow a controlled and deliberate process. Each document should be formally authorized before release to ensure accuracy and alignment with the organization's objectives and context. Version control is mandatory, enabling teams to identify current and obsolete documents quickly. Updates must be tracked, with previous versions archived for reference when needed but clearly marked to avoid confusion. Clarity of language is equally important. Documentation must be understandable to a wide audience, not just technical specialists. The goal is accessibility. Any employee responsible for an ISMS-related activity should be able to read and comprehend the relevant documents without ambiguity. A document that is accurate but incomprehensible fails to meet the intent of the standard. Controlling documented information is central to Clause 7.5's requirements. Control ensures that documents are available where and when they are needed, whether for internal use or for audit verification. Access must be managed to protect information from unauthorized changes or misuse. Sensitive ISMS records, such as incident investigations or vulnerability reports, require particular attention to security and confidentiality. Retention and disposal must also follow established rules, ensuring that information is kept as long as necessary and destroyed appropriately when no longer needed. Integrity during storage, transfer, and retrieval must be preserved, whether documents are maintained in physical or digital form. Document control, in short, safeguards the reliability and trustworthiness of the ISMS's recorded knowledge. Examples of essential ISMS documents illustrate how Clause 7.5 interlinks with other requirements across the standard. The Statement of Applicability provides a summary of control decisions, showing which Annex A controls are implemented or excluded and why. Risk assessment reports and treatment plans connect back to Clause 6.1, documenting how risks are evaluated and managed. Training and competence records, required under Clause 7.2, demonstrate that staff possess the necessary skills to fulfill their responsibilities. Audit reports and management review minutes, aligned with Clause 9, capture evidence of continual evaluation and improvement. Collectively, these documents represent the ISMS in action, showing not just intent, but execution and oversight. Auditors assessing Clause 7.5 look for evidence that an organization maintains a structured document management process. They expect to see policies or procedures that define how documents are created, reviewed, approved, distributed, and archived. Clear differentiation between current and obsolete versions is essential. Outdated documents in circulation often lead to nonconformities. Secure handling of sensitive information is another major focus. Auditors verify that access to records is restricted and traceable. They also examine how consistency is maintained across departments to ensure a unified documentation approach. When organizations can demonstrate that their documentation process is systematic, traceable, and reliable, they build confidence in the ISMS's integrity and maturity. Documentation plays a supporting role in nearly every other clause of ISO 27001. It reinforces leadership commitment under clauses 5.1 and 5.2 by providing tangible evidence of policies and strategic decisions. It records competence and training under Clause 7.2, ensuring traceability of skills and awareness programs. It preserves performance data and monitoring results under Clause 9.1 and captures lessons learned and improvement actions under Clause 10. Documentation is, in many ways, the connective tissue of the ISMS, linking planning, operation, evaluation, and improvement into a single auditable continuum. Without it, compliance cannot be demonstrated, and continual improvement cannot be measured. The value of documentation extends far beyond audits. It provides transparency, allowing decisions and processes to be understood by stakeholders across time and departments. It creates accountability by recording who did what and when. It enables traceability, ensuring that actions can be retraced to their origins when issues arise. Documentation also serves as a reference point for employees, clarifying expectations and standardizing practices across the organization. Finally, it strengthens organizational memory, retaining knowledge that would otherwise be lost through staff turnover or business change. A strong documentation culture ensures that expertise and experience are preserved, not forgotten, maintaining continuity and stability even in times of transition. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Poor documentation practices can quickly erode the credibility and efficiency of an ISMS. One of the most common pitfalls is excessive paperwork, creating documents for the sake of compliance rather than operational usefulness. Over-documentation burdens staff, clutters systems, and often results in key information being lost among unnecessary detail. Another frequent issue is the circulation of outdated versions, where old procedures or obsolete policies remain accessible and mistakenly followed. Accessibility problems also plague many organizations. Documents stored in hard-to-reach repositories or poorly organized file structures discourage proper use. Finally, documentation that fails to reflect how the organization actually operates creates a dangerous disconnect between policy and practice. When employees ignore written procedures because they are impractical or outdated, the ISMS becomes a paper framework rather than a living management system. To avoid these issues, ISO 27001 promotes several best practices for managing documented information. The guiding principle is quality over quantity. Documentation should be concise, relevant, and focused on supporting operational needs. Each document must serve a clear purpose and provide value to the people using it. Regular reviews are critical to ensure accuracy, especially when technology, regulations, or organizational structures change. Many organizations now leverage digital document management tools to simplify this process, automating version tracking, approval workflows, and access permissions. Access to sensitive information should always be restricted based on the principle of least privilege, protecting confidentiality while maintaining usability. By combining discipline with modern tools, organizations can maintain documentation that is both compliant and user-friendly. Documentation failures often serve as learning opportunities for improvement. An organization that cannot produce evidence of implemented controls during an audit, for instance, exposes itself to major nonconformities. Outdated risk assessments circulating alongside current versions confuse teams and compromise risk decisions. Missing records for required training or awareness sessions can invalidate competence claims under Clause 7.2. Even minor inconsistencies, such as conflicting procedures across departments, can lead to audit findings and operational inefficiencies. Each of these failures highlights the importance of maintaining an ISMS documentation system that is not only comprehensive but actively managed. The goal is consistency, one source of truth for all ISMS-related information, available, current, and verified. Digital document management systems, DMS, have become essential tools for organizations seeking to meet the expectations of Clause 7 efficiently. Centralized repositories ensure that all users access the same authoritative versions of documents, eliminating the risk of conflicting copies. Built-in access controls restrict sensitive materials to authorized personnel, protecting confidentiality while maintaining visibility for auditors. Automated version tracking and approval workflows enforce process discipline and provide an audit-ready record of revisions. Many systems also integrate with workflow or task management platforms, linking documentation updates to operational activities such as risk reviews or incident response. Some even offer real-time reporting dashboards, enabling organizations to track document status, pending approvals, or review schedules. When properly configured, digital systems streamline compliance while enhancing control and accountability. However, the human aspect of documentation remains as important as the technical infrastructure. Even the best document management systems will fail if staff do not understand how to use them correctly. Training should cover not only document creation and approval procedures, but also proper version control, record retention, and disposal practices. Encouraging employees to report outdated or redundant materials helps maintain accuracy and engagement. Clarity of language is another human factor. Documentation should be written in plain, accessible language so that non-specialists can understand and apply it. Finally, leadership should foster a culture that views documentation not as an administrative burden, but as a source of empowerment and protection. When employees understand that accurate records safeguard both the organization and their own work, compliance becomes natural rather than forced. Strong documentation practices provide strategic benefits that reach well beyond compliance. They create efficiency by standardizing processes and reducing confusion about responsibilities or procedures. They also improve audit readiness. When documentation is complete, current, and easily retrievable, audit preparation becomes routine rather than frantic. Clear, verifiable records demonstrate accountability to regulators and clients, strengthening trust and reputation. From a business continuity perspective, good documentation ensures that operations can continue smoothly during staff turnover, mergers, or unexpected disruptions. Knowledge does not vanish with personnel changes because it has been captured, structured, and preserved within the ISMS framework. Documentation transforms institutional knowledge from something ephemeral into a durable organizational asset. Across industries, documentation practices vary but remain essential to compliance and effectiveness. In financial services, robust record-keeping supports regulatory oversight, allowing institutions to demonstrate control over compliance procedures and audit findings. In healthcare, maintaining documented ISMS processes ensures patient information is handled securely, supporting privacy regulations such as HIPAA. Manufacturing organizations document supplier audits and production control measures to protect supply chain integrity. In education, institutions store training records, awareness logs, and system access reviews to prove compliance with data protection and student privacy requirements. Regardless of industry, the core principle is the same. Accurate documentation ensures that security, compliance, and accountability remain verifiable at all times. Keeping documentation relevant over time requires continuous attention. Periodic reviews should align with the ISMS's audit and management review cycles, ensuring that changes in context, risk, or operations are reflected promptly. When regulatory updates occur or the organization undergoes structural changes, document owners must review and adjust related materials. Automation can reduce manual effort, reminding document owners of upcoming review deadlines or flagging outdated records for attention. Continuous improvement also applies to document quality itself. Organizations can refine formatting, structure, and clarity over time to make content more intuitive and effective. The goal is an evolving documentation system that grows and adapts with the organization, supporting a resilient and responsive ISMS. In conclusion, Clause 7.5 of ISO 2700 ensures that all information vital to the ISMS is properly created, maintained, and controlled. Documentation provides the evidence that transforms management intent into demonstrable compliance. When managed well, it delivers transparency, traceability, and confidence to employees, auditors, and external stakeholders alike. Poor documentation leads to confusion and inconsistency. Strong documentation builds trust and operational maturity. In this way, Clause 7.5 functions as the connective framework that holds the ISMS together. With a solid documentation foundation in place, the organization is ready to move forward to Clause 8.1, where attention shifts from planning to doing, translating the documented system into operational control and daily execution across the enterprise.